Guy paid me £250 for me to sit on his back naked for 3 hours. Sex workers of Reddit, what's the weirdest kink a customer has asked you to fulfill? Oh, I also had a guy out of his mind on Molly have me over for like 5 hours but had me arrive at midnight, then proceeded to dress me in every Halloween costume he had ever worn and photographed me in pirate stuff, LOTR costume and a wizard W, a large staff taller than I am. Guy WHO makes the Radiots YouTube videos, why didn't I get on the vid? I have hella upvotes and 2 awards. Kinda sad about it. Online only here. I had a man pay me $500 to sit on my feet in panties and a t-shirt and turn my back to the camera and play video games while ignoring the camera. Worth. I used to sell a friend of mine sleeping pills. She had a client who liked them being injected into his dick and tried to fuck her before he went to sleep. It would take about 10 to 15 minutes before he crashed out. She was always paid up front and she would leave when he fell asleep. In a special massage place, a friend of a friend of a friend told me that one of her customers comes in regularly to get his ass cheeks scratched for 1 hour. A customer had a fishing fetish, got fisher outfits for some girls like a raincoat or some shit, and brought a fishing rod, boots and all, and the girls had to act like they were fishing him while he was laying on the floor and move like a fish. Craziest shit I heard, but whatever floats their boat I guess. I was a cab driver for several years. Night shift, ghetto. I loved that job. I had a regular escort who always requested me. Probably because I didn't ask her for anything whilst driving her to her next John. She'd go up into an apartment, house, or hotel room and have me wait. Sometimes a full hour, but rarely over 15 minutes. I never argued because waiting in a return trip keeps the meter running longer. One time she came down after maybe 10 minutes. She looked half amused and half terrified. She said that the guy had her put on a muumuu and an old lady wig, then yell at him while he took a shit and he jacked off. Fucking weird. Freud would have something to say about that guy, no doubt. I was camming and a guy wanted to start a pay-per-minute camming show. I agreed and just casually talked with him for a bit. Then to the weird part. He wanted me to lie in full view of the camera, completely still, like literally not move. I spent about an hour just laying completely still and making no sound. I have no idea what he got out of it. I'm an erotica writer, and I've had some strange requests for commissions over the years. I've written about the guy who wanted to be sounded by a Hot Wheels car before, but there have been a bunch of times when people have asked for things that have been unusual. I had one guy who was really into whatever a bird furry is, a feathery, I suppose, and asked for a story about getting a hand job from someone with an eagle claw. I pointed out that that would technically be a foot job, and he never got back to me. There was also one guy who wanted me to edit his writing and just berate him for all his mistakes in the comments. Basically, he wanted a sort of Microsoft Word student/teacher role-play thing where I'd correct all his errors and tell him what a stupid little boy he was and how he was going to be a failure as a writer and no one would ever read his stuff. I didn't take the job in the end, because A, it felt a little too close to just talking this guy off rather than writing a story, and I was in a relationship at the time, and B, he offered about 2/3 of what my then editing rate was. If he wanted an editing job and to get off from it, my logic went, he should have been paying more, not less. There have also been a couple of people who've asked for writing based on an image prompt, which is fine, but usually, it's a sexy woman or a particularly fetishy image, you know, latex, bondage, all that good stuff. One guy sent me a picture of a chair. Just a chair, by itself. It was a very nice chair, but I had to check with him before I wrote it in case I'd missed something about the whole transaction. In the end, I wrote a very nice little piece about a woman bent over it, waiting for her dom to come home and fuck her. Turned out he wasn't a chair fetishist, he just liked my work and wanted to see what I'd come up with. A client pays me to teach him how to blow his nose properly, making sure to say key phrases like blow it clear. Another one set up a fantasy scenario where I receive an expensive vibrator in the mail, but when I open it, discover a tiny man that's stuck in it. He said, "What you don't know is that man was a factory worker that got stuck in the vibrator making it." I was obviously confused about where he wanted me to go with this, but suggested I should try using the vibrator with the man attached. "Nope." The client replied, "I can't come unless you destroy it." I think the strangest I've ever gotten was a man who had a huge fetish for Disney characters, and I'm not even talking just Disney princesses. He loved shit like Lilo and Stitch or Pooh Bear. He regularly paid me several hundred to dress up as his favorite characters and basically verbally abuse him. It was a sweet gig while it lasted, however strange. Nothing really surprises me anymore after that one. Had a roommate in college, the 2000s, who did private adult videos by request only. Basically expensive personalized video porn. She came home pretty bummed one day and I asked what was up. She said she had been paid $500 to put on an adult diaper and comically large baby bonnet and walk otherwise naked around a local college green space. The whole video was her walking around with her fingers in her mouth acting like a confused adult baby. In the end, she was told to pee in the diaper and show the camera. When she thought she was done, the director asked if she wanted to poop in the diaper for $1,500 instead of $500, saying the client asked if it was possible. She declined immediately and the director was, I guess, okay with it. She was bummed she missed out on making an extra $1,000 because she had pooped before going to work. We both laughed so fucking hard. What a ridiculous thought, darn, if only I hadn't pooped before work I'd be making some real money. I'm a dancer in a club and I love kinky guys. Other than the doms, I won't get into that whole thing. Kinky guys tend to be pretty passive and tip well. Mostly I meet foot guys, cuckolds, men who wear women's undergarments, and just overall subs who are open to whatever I'm into. After 15 years in the industry, I thought I'd heard it all. Then I met a guy who said he was into bones. As in, he bought a 45-minute room, and just wanted to feel my skeleton. He was touching my collarbone and hips pretty hard. It wasn't the most comfortable dance ever, but he was so grateful to be acting out his fantasy and super respectful of me and my time. One of my favorite guys ever. Someone asked me to watch his 7-year-old wank over me on cam while I played with myself. He offered to pay my highest rates and tip me generously. I reported and blocked his ass as quickly as I could. A guy hit me up for feet pics once, completely out of the blue. I know this basic bog standard. But I wasn't a sex worker, and whoever this guy was ended up hitting up about half of the guys at my college, 300 400 guys. It was all in the span of a week or so and he offered good money per pic. All told, I heard he spent upwards of $5,000 trying to accumulate a collection of my college's male feet. I've only sex worked once when I didn't have enough money for a night out. Guy paid me £250 for me to sit on his back naked for 3 hours. He didn't do anything, just laid there, no conversation whilst I watched TV. I felt like I'd ripped him off, but he was very appreciative. There's plenty of fetishes I don't indulge but understand how people get off. But I struggle to understand what he was getting out of it. To each their own. One of my favorite customers at my restaurant is an SW and she always tells me stories in exchange for a free boba. She's also the best tipper. The best story she's told me is a guy paying her $200 to just stand on his belly, nothing else, just stand there fully clothed. Dude didn't even jerk off or anything, and he made an appointment every time she was in town, lol. I'm a dude who did weird stuff during college to earn some extra cash. My job was to go to these afternoon parties organized by this filthy rich housewife and do catering service in our undies. Undies were provided by the secret friendship company. If they would like us, they would put in a currency note of 50/100ths in our undies and take a drank peek of the good stuff. Once a woman asked me to assist her with personal work to earn more cash. I told her that I will not have sex for money. She told me that I will not be required to have sex. I got on board. She took me to a room, paid me $5,000, just to watch her slowly undress and cry. I initially got scared as I thought she is framing me for rape. But she calmed me down and only asked me to watch. She slowly undressed herself while crying really loudly, and then she lied on the floor naked, bawling like a baby. There were actual tears and stuff. It was really sad for me, but $5,000 meant a lot during college days. Finally, she silently stood up, covered herself, went for a shower while asking me to leave immediately. She took my number and we made it a monthly routine. I was terrified every time she called me for the work. But I still did 7 to 8 sessions for the cash before I accepted that it's too weird for me. I couldn't sleep nicely for 2 to 3 nights after each experience. Not too fancy like other stuff here, but weird still. I was a receptionist in a massage parlor. Had a guy who would ring before attending to request that a girl take a cold bath before he got there. Apparently, he would ask them to lie completely still as if they were dead. If he caught them moving, he lost his mojo. Most of the girls only saw him once and refused him thereafter. Creepy. I've been asked to make some strange fetish videos. Forcing a slave to eat frozen semen that had shaved pubic hair sprinkled in it. White chocolate Lindor balls, 8 of them, in an ass, followed by a cock. A funnel, placed in the anus, followed by minty mouthwash poured in. A man lays naked while the woman licks him from head to toe with lots of slobber. Tapping fingernails on hard surfaces. Chewing food while having the neck grasped but not choked. Stepping on toy cars while wearing high heels. Make a video where I'm sunbathing, and then I accidentally say the magic words, and then suddenly I get yucky slime dumped all over me. Did you ever want to get slimed on Nickelodeon as a kid? Yeah, me too. Guess what? It's fucking gross. Feels like getting barfed on and it stinks like sour milk. That smell didn't leave my hair for a week. And if you're interested in what that looks like, someone posted a GIF from the video on here a few years ago. I was paid $200 to kick/knee a customer in the balls till he came. It only took about 4 times to make him come. I did it a few times. He even paid me $500 when I went out clubbing to do it in a corner of the club. I think I might qualify as a one-time sex worker. One night, after riding the subway home from work, a guy followed me off the train and offered to buy the shoes off my feet. He stammered through some nonsense about being a sneaker collector and paid me $450 in cash for my old, sweaty canvas Vans. Totally worth the 2-block walk home in my socks. I had a regular customer who would ask for double mayo. The first time was relatively normal, but then he finished and said, "It was good, but more mayo next time." Odd, sure. Messy, yeah, but he's the one paying. I saw him again a week later. I gave it to him with double mayo and a bit extra mayo on top. He seemed happy. Then a week after that, I saw him yet again and the first thing he says is, "Okay, don't hold back on the mayo. Whatever you did last time, just double it." We both knew it was weird, but this is a place of business where you won't be made to feel bad about your particular type of gluttony. So I went overboard with the mayo. I didn't even bother with my squeeze bottle but just slathered it on with a spatula. Mayo was dripping all over. It was messy and sloppy and I could barely hold a straight face. But this guy had an enormous appetite. He was done in less than 3 minutes flat. I didn't even see him come up for air. He wiped up with a pile of napkins, gave me a nice tip, and left. This continued for months. I had to make sure to keep well stocked with mayo. Then one day, he brings a friend. They both ask for extra mayo treatment. Okay, fellas, that's fine I guess. His friend was a big dude. He's sweating and breathing heavily just standing there. But once he got over the initial weird shame feeling, he and his buddy both went to town and finished in record time. His buddy sheepishly said thanks and left. After that, they were both regular customers of mine for years. Their fondness for mayo waxed and waned, but they still remained consistent clients. Oh, I should mention I worked at a sandwich shop, which is the closest thing I've done to sex work. Anyway, that was the strangest request from a customer I've had. This isn't as weird, but it's a good one. I've had men with a financial domination fetish. Basically, they want you to steal their wallets or demand money. Easy peasy. They get off by having you control their money. This one is really gross. I never met this guy in person, we corresponded through email only. He sent me a pet egg, one of those foot exfoliators that looks like a cheese grater, and asked me to take a 5-minute video of myself using it on my feet. He had me use it multiple times over a couple of weeks, specifically after wearing smelly shoes. At the end of the allotted time, I would send him the shavings in the mail, mixed with toenail clippings, so he could eat them while watching the video. Gag, but $300 is $300. Many years ago, I used to drive escorts around from client to client. I was chauffeuring this one girl for the night and out of the blue, she got a call from a friend. A friend couldn't make the call so she contracted it to her, I guess they help each other out. Anyways, she's like sure I'll do it. I gotta go anyway. I drop her off. She comes out about 45 minutes later all showered. I figured they were doing it in the shower. Nope. She said Buddy wanted her to take a hot dump right on his chest while he cranked it and, get this, he paid her $1,000 to do that. The wet hair was because she used the shower after they had finished. This was a regular customer of a friend. She gave me quite an impressive tip and thanked me for waiting longer than usual. She would charge tricks for 30 minutes, or 1 hour, but most were 30 minutes calls and she would be done in 20. I've never heard of someone getting off by getting shat on, let alone paying that much to have it be done. I have a few clients who buy my poop so they can eat it. They send pics of themselves covered in it. They're absolutely over the moon about it. Another likes videos of me stomping on candy with my muddy shoes. I send him the candy and mud and he eats it. Always cheers me up. I used to have a regular who for 45 minutes would like to repeatedly be kicked in his testicles as hard as possible, as well as be stood on with stilettos in that area. He barely flinched. There was also a guy circling the area for a few months where you would hear stories of him pulling out bags of bugs/worms and asking if girls can just step on them. I never encountered him, but a few of the girls I worked with did. When I was younger, I got a part-time job doing phone sex to bring in extra income. My most unique kink was from a gentleman that liked BBW and their friends to sit on him, sweat all over him, and shove anything and everything inside him. Such as one of the BBWs being covered in spiky shoulder pads and essentially shoved up his ass. He would call for the same exact phone conversation every other night or so. If I would try and spice it up, he would be displeased. If it couldn't be shoved up his ass or a BBW sitting on his face, he wouldn't get off. I've had some other unique kinks, but not as unusual. Being a PSO was one of my favorite jobs. So many interesting people being so vulnerable. Thank you for watching Reddit Space. Please subscribe if you love these Reddit stories.